My in-laws blame me for my husband's mental illness. Hi there Reddit, I normally don't post here. I try to really not let these people take up too much of my mental energy, and this sub sorta triggers me to think about the long 8 year of knowing these people. But I feel I really need some validation or brutal honesty. Here it goes. Basically, without going into it, I met my now husband over 8 years ago. We fell madly in love, but it's been a journey. Over the last year, we started seeing a couples counselor who identified him as having male borderline personality disorder. I am certain he is this, and I am dealing with that realization. Our relationship makes so much sense in this context, and I now see the counselor individually weekly to deal with this fact. No more couples counseling, and she has suggested I lead the relationship. I am not sure whether I am going to stay or go, but for now we share a 5-year-old daughter and I have no plans to divorce at the moment. I am working on my own life and career and mental health. I am posting here because part of what has happened over the last 6 months includes my in-laws. If you know anything about this disorder, you will know that it is caused by childhood trauma, and now that I have this piece of the puzzle solved, I see them in a completely different light. I am now personally no contact with them and have absolutely no desire to have any form of a relationship with them. Here are a few things they have done this year to cause me to get to this point. My husband has been in rehab several times in his adult life, once during the course of our relationship while I was pregnant with our daughter, for drinking and substances. He still drinks every day. He is a functional alcoholic, which goes hand in hand with borderline personality disorder. When he drinks more than 2, he becomes completely different. This last winter he went on a bender. He was drinking and acting horrible to me. He said awful abusive things, and was just really unhinged with his verbal abuse. I broke down and texted my mother-in-law for the first time in 5 years, telling her that I was tired of his drinking. This is before I knew about his personality disorder. I thought it was just addiction issues. She seemed empathetic and offered a book about boundaries she had read as a coping mechanism. The conversation was short and sweet and through text. Well, about 2 weeks later my husband is irate with me. His sister had called him and told him not to tell me she was calling, but that her and her parents were very worried about his drinking and dug into him. He spilled the beans that his sister had called him during a fight and was so mad at me for betraying him by telling his family he was drinking. Obviously, he denied the drinking to them and they believed him. I was upset because I spoke to my mother-in-law in confidence about a private issue. She knows he has addiction issues, they all do. His addiction issues started at 18 when he became an opioid addict and would shoot up every day for years, and finally went to rehab and got a bit better during his mid-20s, but never fully stopped. They are fully aware of all of this. And she and the sister took the opportunity to go behind my back and alienate me and try to address the matter privately with him and exclude me. There is a pattern of this, but I was shocked that they are still doing it this far into a relationship. My issue is not that they would talk to him about this, my issue is that she would tell him not to tell me she was calling and try to handle it herself. I called the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law and told them exactly this. I phoned them both up and said I understand they are worried about their family member and that I understand, as I was the one who divulged the information initially, but that it is not acceptable to call and ask him to keep secrets from me, and try to handle the matter by excluding me conversation as I am his wife. I told him I thought it was inappropriate. The sister completely denied telling him not to tell me. So she gaslight me. The mother told me she didn't even know how the sister found out, and blamed her husband for telling the sister without her knowledge. Basically nobody took accountability and apologized. But I made my point. Fast forward a few months and my husband's brother, his wife, and children visit us for a weekend. During the weekend it is revealed to me that my mother-in-law has been telling people that I am off my medication. Apparently, she warned my sister-in-law that I am not taking my medication and that if they were going to visit, they should know that about me. My job was on the floor. What happened is she is basically alluding to the fact that me saying my husband is drinking must be due to the fact that I am not taking my medication anymore. A little backstory: my husband abandoned me when I was 3.5 months pregnant with our daughter. I was so traumatized and confused. I started taking a mood stabilizer because I felt suicidal at 6 months pregnant. I had a 7-year-old daughter from a prior relationship. We planned the pregnancy with my second daughter with the plans of getting married, ring bought and living together for years at that point. He kicked me out when I was 3 months pregnant because he had a BPD split and was abusing alcohol, and I was very confused and upset. His sister is the one who told him to change the locks and not let me back in. All while I was pregnant and already single mom. Of course I was feeling depressed. Then 7 days after I gave birth to my daughter, I found out my mom was diagnosed with ALS and was dying. I spent the first year and a half of my daughter's life caretaking my dying mother and ultimately watched her pass away in person and helped labor through her death with a doula and hospice in her home 22 months after her diagnosis. All nursing my new daughter, caring for my older daughter as well, and living in my own apartment because my husband would not let me move back into her house because his family was telling him not to let me move back in. P.S. They are very religious and part of their issue was the fact that we were not married and having a baby. Even though he and I planned this and it was really none of their business. I believe they use this as an opportunity to punish me for not being in line with their beliefs. Yes, I was on medication during this time, but we have now been married for 3 years and settled, and I got off my medication a year ago. I needed help coping, and I guess when my in-laws addressed my husband about his drinking, he blamed our relationship issues on me stopping my medication. And my mother-in-law took it upon herself to tell the rest of the family. I feel so incredibly violated by her and feel it was totally out of her place to say anything to anyone. She also did not know that I had been off my medication for about 9 months before she heard about it, and this is really none of her business. Not to mention, I feel better than ever, clear-headed, calm, and also I don't need the medication. It was just a coping tool during one of the darkest points of my life. At this point, I am no contact with my sister-in-law or mother-in-law. I feel that they are toxic, and I could tell you more stories from all the years of being with my partner that these women have meddled and caused issues and take no accountability. Yesterday in the mail I see a card addressed to Mr. and Mrs. my husband's name. From a stamp that says her husband's name. It's for our anniversary, and I recently found out that she had warned my husband not to marry me. She and her husband did not buy us a wedding gift and begrudgingly attended the wedding. But the last 2 years on our anniversary they have sent us some form of a card or gift. I don't even want to open it. I told my husband that he can open it since it's from his parents. The whole thing really irritates me as I do not feel it sincere. I feel that she is just sending a gift to look sweet and kind, but behind my back, she gossips about me and spreads very inappropriate information. She refuses to look at herself or her own son who has severe mental health and addiction issues, and I have become the family scapegoat. I have to vacation with them for a week next month. My daughter is 5 and can barely swim, and every year we vacation together at a lake. Due to my husband's personality issues he takes extreme risks and is unsafe, and I will not leave my daughter unattended on a lake for a week without me. Otherwise I would not be going. One day when she is older, I will likely not attend at all, but for now as a mother, I do not feel comfortable being away from her for that long around these people. I just needed to vent. If you read this, thank you for reading. I personally feel that these people are extreme, and I'm just looking for a little either validation or new perspective on situations like this. Thank you and hope you have a great day.